Hi, I'm Riki of Pilates with Riki. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to do a short balance video. I have a tennis ball on a non-skid pad, and I'm also going to use a balance pole at some point. You could also, if you don't have the balance pole, use a chair or move to a wall for that segment. But these few short exercises should be accessible to almost everyone. So we're going to start with a little foot massage. That's the nice bit. So I have my tennis ball on a non-skid pad so that it won't go skittering off on the hardwood floor. But you could do this on a carpet or any kind of a padding, like a thicker Pilates mat would be fine too. The first thing we're going to do is just roll your whole foot over the tennis ball. So this is the part that should feel pretty good. You can roll all the way back to the heel, all the way up to the ball of the foot, and do that a couple of times. And then make sure you also roll into the inner edge of your foot and the outer edge of your foot. So we have a transverse arch that goes from the inside to the outside, and depending on how you bear your weight, those spots might actually need a little more attention than the longitudinal arch. So for me, like, I have a very high arch, and the inside of my foot is always a little more tender. So just make sure you get into all the spots. If you find a spot where you want to spend a little more attention, go ahead and do that. We'll do this for a few more seconds. And then we're going to get a little more targeted about this. We're going to put the tennis ball underneath the ball of your foot. Your heel should be down on the floor, and the toes are completely relaxed. So toes are not gripping the ball. And then once you get here, we're going to just stomp down on the ball. So we've got our metatarsals, the bones underneath the toes on the tennis ball, and we're just trying to open up the tissue that surrounds the metatarsal and give a little massage to the muscles on the bottom of the foot. We'll just hold this for, say, 10 more seconds. Take a deep breath. And then we'll release that, and now we're going to roll our foot over the ball so the ball of your foot is down on the floor, and the tennis ball, it's not directly under the heel, but it's where the heel transitions into the arch. And once you get there, you're going to stomp down. Now, this is where the plantar fascia comes down, and that is a pretty thick band of tissue. It can be really sensitive on some people. If it actually is inflamed, you should probably skip this bit. It's not going to feel that good. But even if you don't experience inflammation there, it may feel a little tender. So go slow. We're not going to stay here too long. We're going to take a big deep breath. Let it out. Nice. And then we'll release that and we'll go to the other side. So remember, first bit is just a nice massage, rolling the whole length of your foot. So all the way up to the ball of your foot, all the way down to the heel. This part should just feel really nice. If your feet tend to be really tender, you could actually do this with a sock on, like a big fuzzy sock. That might feel better. And also, you know yourself better. So if it doesn't feel good, if it's veering over into too much pain, then by all means just skip this part. Then it's just not for you. But if you're doing it and it feels good, make sure you're going to the inner arch and also to the outer edge of your foot. So sometimes I'm surprised by what's tight in my foot. It's a spot that I don't necessarily feel until I get in there trying to massage it. So take your time and be curious. And hopefully at the end of this, you'll feel a lot better in your feet than you might right at this exact moment. All right, so now we'll go to our targeted areas. So put the heel of your foot down, and the tennis ball is under the ball of your foot. Toes are just relaxed. They're just draping over the front curved edge of the tennis ball. And then we're going to stomp down on the tennis ball. It might feel a little tender, but remember, we're trying to open up the tissues around the metatarsals. Those bones are supporting your whole body weight all day long. So those muscles, those bones, those tendons are doing a lot of work. So we'll just stretch it out. Just maybe 5 more seconds. And then release that. Now we'll go to the more gnarly spot. We'll put the ball of your foot down on the floor. Remember, the tennis ball is not directly under the heel. It's where the heel transitions into the arch. And then stomp down. If it doesn't feel a little tender, you're probably not in the right spot. Because for almost everybody where that plantar fascia comes down, it is a little tender. If it's too much for you, back off by all means. But if you can manage it, we're going to stay here for about 10 more seconds. Taking a big deep breath can help. And let it out. Nice. And then we'll release that. Nicely done. Now, let's move the tennis ball somewhere out of the way, somewhere where you're not going to trip on it. I'm going to go ahead and grab my balance pole. This is something I made from a 1-inch dowel and some cane stoppers. And if you want to make it, the list of what you need is in the blog post that is linked in the comments below. But you could also use any kind of a walking stick that you have or a gondola pole that you see in Pilates studios. You could also just be holding on to the back of a chair, sturdy chair. So we're going to hold whatever you're holding on to for balance. We're going to look down to the feet. We're going to arrange the feet in a narrow stance. So big toe to big toe, heel to heel. Make sure you're not locking out the knees. We're going to pick the belly button in and up. Lift your chest, even lift your gaze up a little bit. And then we're going to take a nice big inhale and lift both heels up. Exhale, lower down. So inhale to lift. Exhale, lower. We're trying almost to levitate straight up and not rock forward to find the lift. That can be pretty hard to do. And when you come up to your highest height, again, you're balancing on those metatarsals, that part of the foot you just stretched out. So we're not trying to come all the way up to the tippy toes. 2 more. And this may not feel like a balance challenge for some of you, but the next one will. So staying in that same stance, narrow stance, pulling the belly in and up. We are going to try and keep the hips level as we lift first the right heel up off the floor, and then we're going to just pick that foot up. You don't have to lift it up high. We're going to point the toes, and now we're going to try and do a single leg raise. So we'll inhale to lift the left heel, exhale, lower it down. So you're just trying to lift and lower. I am really pressing down into my pole right now. You can probably see this may not look that pretty. It's still pretty wobbly. It's hard to do. We'll do 2 more. And 1. Nicely done. Now shake out that working leg and let's just turn a few ankle circles in each direction. And now we have to look back down at the feet. We're setting up big toe to big toe, heel to heel, pulling your belly in and up, lifting your heart and your gaze. Let's switch the pole to the other hand. And then trying to keep those hips level, we're going to peel the left heel up. But we're imagining we're peeling it up from the hip, right? So here's what happens if I don't think about it. You see, I just I drop out to the right. I don't want to do that. I want to feel as if I'm really just pulling that heel straight up. So I've got to really think about it. I've got to press the floor away with my right foot to lift the heel and then lift the toes. You don't have to lift them high. That's the good news. And then we'll inhale to lift that right heel. Exhale, lower it down. So inhale to lift, exhale, lower. So everyone has a weaker side. This is my weaker side. And when I first tried to do this, I could not really lift that right heel at all. It was so hard. I did what was called Imagilates. I just imagined myself doing it, and I kept working at it, and now as you can see, I can do it. It's still not as strong as the other side. 2 more. And 1. Whew, nicely done. Shake out that working leg. That leg did a lot of work. Turn a few ankle circles in one direction and a few in the other. Now, we're going to stand again on the left side. We're going to stay on the left side and we're going to lift the right foot up again. Just a little bit. We're going to try and keep that right leg straight. Now that means there's a weight transfer over to the left side. You can see I've sort of transferred to the left, but I'm trying as much as I can to keep an upright posture. And then I'm going to do a side kick with the right leg and bring it back in. So inhale out, exhale in. And I'm trying to go as big as I can go without throwing my balance totally off. So we want it to be as large a range of motion as you can manage while still being totally in control. So we'll inhale out, exhale, squeeze in. Pulling your belly in, standing up to your tallest height the whole time. Nice, 2 more. And 1. Nicely done. Go ahead and put that leg down. We're going to go to the other side. So we'll put the balance pole in the other hand. We're starting with a narrow stance, standing up to our tallest height. And now we're going to lift the left foot up. The leg is going to be as straight as possible. And we're going to try not to lean too far over to the right to get here. So once you get stable, inhale to kick out, exhale, squeeze in. So inhale, Exhale. Now I'm looking at a spot out the window behind the camera because vision is a part of your balance. But if you thought that this was easy, if you're like, yeah, this is not so hard, you could try for a sec to close your eyes. I'll just try it. And all of a sudden your vestibular system has to kick in. That's valid too. That's another part of our balance. But it's a little trick you can play with yourself when you're in a safe place and you've got your hand on something. One more. Nicely done. Now shake out both legs. I'm gonna turn to the side to show you the next one. You just need to make sure there's space behind you for the next exercise. We're gonna go into one that is called the tipping bird, or sometimes people call it the airplane. We're gonna look down at the feet, set the feet up, hip distance apart. I'm gonna start with the pole in my right hand, and I'm gonna take my right foot back. So I'm taking my right foot back. The leg is straight, tippy toes are on the floor. I'm pulling my belly in and up. And now I'm gonna start to hinge at the hip. At the same time, I'm gonna try and lift the right leg. So I'm hinging my torso forward as I'm lifting the back leg, and I'm letting the left hand go down towards the floor. It's gonna be like ballast as it goes down. And now as I come up, I'm gonna lift that right knee in front. So I'm going to inhale to hip hinge, tip forward. Exhale, lift the knee in front. So you inhale, exhale. We'll just do 5 on each side, so I think I have 2 more. And 1. Nice, right foot will come down, shake out that left leg. The standing leg is doing a lot of work. Now I'm gonna transfer the pole to the other hand. So the pole's in my left hand, my feet start hip distance apart, and I'm gonna take my left leg back. Remember, I'm trying to lift the leg from my hip flexor, from way up here. So I'm thinking about trying to keep my hips level. Left toes are gonna be down on the floor, right hand is ready to go down like ballast. Chest is lifted up. So we're going to hip hinge as we fire up the hamstring and back to lift that back leg. You're trying to bring your torso parallel to the floor or as close as you can get. And then when you come up, you can lift the left knee in front. So we'll inhale to hip hinge, tip down. Exhale, stand tall and lift the knee in front. So again, as I said before, I'm on my weaker leg now, and I can feel that as I do this, it's like I'm kind of leaning over to the right to accomplish it. I'm trying to combat that as much as I can, but it's a journey. Everyone is imbalanced in some way. Last one. Exhale as you come up, and lift the knee in front. Nicely done. Go ahead and shake out both legs, and let's just turn a few ankle circles on one side, and we'll go in the other direction. And then we'll turn a few ankle circles on the other side and reverse it. And then we'll finish there. So thank you so much for joining me. Please leave me a comment below if you like these exercises, and especially if you want more of them, if you'd be interested in a short standing class, that would be fun. All of my classes are listed below, as is the blog post that teaches you how to make the balance pole. Thanks again.